Right, so we're just going to talk about factoring to a graph now. So yesterday we looked at factored form, and if it wasn't factored form, how to graph it. Today this is in standard form, but we're going to actually factor it. And so if you factored last week and had some time to practice that, then that would have been awesome. But if you didn't have time, hopefully my review today will make a little bit of sense here, and you will have an opportunity to kind of understand it and practice your skills today. So yeah, just quickly. So the y-intercept, remember looking at this, the only really good thing about this standard form is that the y-intercept is always the very last number here. So when I'm looking at this, I see -8. I know that the y-intercept is at -8. And so basically, yeah, you'd have a point down here along the y-axis at -8. To show you that in another context when it's even bigger, the y-intercept of this, again, it's the last number, so it's y equals -32, and you can kind of see that down here at -32, right in there as well. Good, so factored form really is what we want, though, because we can get a lot more from factored form. And so this is where I want you to kind of remember, or relearn if you don't remember, all about the sum and then product conversation we had last week. So as a reminder, we are looking at this equation here, and the sum is 2, the middle term, and the product is -8. And what this means is we are looking for two numbers that multiply to -8 and add to 2. If you think about 8 and 1, 4 and 2, and things like that, those are really our only products there. And I might look at 4 and 2, because I can think about 4 and 2 possibly, through subtraction, something like that, getting us a sum of 2, whereas 8 and 1, there's no way that we could possibly have as 8 and 1 here, or a sum of 2 here. So basically, what we're going to do is we are going to say that this here, if we think about 4 times 2, that would be positive. We need a -8, though, so one of them has to be negative. And if we make it the -2, you'll notice that 4 minus 2 is 2. That adds to 2, and 4 times -2 is -8. So 4 and -2 are our two numbers that work here. If you need more practice with this, go to your sheet and note from last week. Then your factored form is just y equals x plus 4 from the positive 4 and x minus 2. So just like we learned yesterday now, this is great. We know x always lies, so we get -4 and positive 2 as our x-intercepts. And you can put those as dots on your graph right now. So we've got 3 points. We've got our y-intercept of -8 down below. We've got 2 x-intercepts. And we remember that we can get the axis of symmetry by adding those two values together. So -4 plus 2 divided by 2, you're going to get -2 divided by 2, which is -1. And basically what that means is there's the mirror at -1. Right there. And then remember, the vertex is when we just take -1 and we put it into our equation. Take that axis of symmetry and putting it in for x here. So -1 minus 2, and you're going to get 3 times -3, which we know is -9. And if you put a dot on our axis of symmetry at -9, it kind of makes sense that if I connect these points here, I am going to get myself a graph with our AOS, axis of symmetry, and our vertex down there at the bottom. And that's exactly what it's asking us to do in F, is graph it by connecting the dots and label those key features, which is the axis of symmetry and your vertex. You know these are your x-intercept and your y-intercept as well. Feel free to pause that or go back if that was too fast for you there, but hopefully that is pretty good. And then from here, this question is a little bit trickier. So I'm going to rewrite out the expression y equals 2x squared minus 12x minus 32. And what I want to draw your attention to is just the fact that there is a number in front of the x squared here. Now that just makes our factoring one step further, where we are just going to common factor out a 2 from all of these terms. So when we divide each of these by 2, 2x squared divided 2 is x squared, 12x divided by 2 is minus 6x, and minus 32 would be minus 16. So basically, this is now something that we can easily factor. And again, remember, your sum is the middle term, so a sum of minus 6 and a product of the last term here, which is minus 16. So when we're thinking about two numbers that would work for this, I can think about the numbers 1 and 16. Multiply to 16, that's not really going to work there. 4 and 4, no combination of 4 and 4 gets us 6. But I can kind of think about 8 and 2 working here, right? 8 and 2, 8 times 2 is 16, and somehow a difference between 8 and 2 is going to give us 6 here. And so let's just try this one. 8 times negative 2 would be negative 16, but 8 minus 2 is positive 6, so obviously that is incorrect. You'd have to do negative 8 and positive 2. Negative 8 plus 2 is negative 6, that works, and negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. So our final equation in factored form, don't forget the 2. You've got x minus 8, x plus 2. Your x-intercepts, remember x is a liar, so we got positive 8 and negative 2, the opposite of negative 8 and the opposite of positive 2, meaning 8 and negative 2. And notice how we do have x-intercepts at 8 and negative 2, so those are good. We see that all of those answers are correct when we look at our graph, so we have basically figured out how to factor and confirm all of the items that we know. What I want you to do here is just simply fill out the chart. So you're going to look at this equation in standard form, factor that, tell me the key points, and then sketch it. If you can complete that for me, that would be much appreciated. Have a great day.